Who's actually going to get the most out of the Canon EOS 7D Mark II? Is it a solid step up for a hobbyist who's outgrowing a kit slinger, or is it overkill for someone who just wants a reliable point-and-shoot? And for the everyday buyer wondering whether the price tag makes sense, does the camera deliver enough real-world value to justify the cost? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I get that hesitation a lot. The 7D Mark II sits in a sweet spot between entry-level DSLRs and the more expensive professional bodies, and that makes the decision feel a little risky. You might be thinking, I need better autofocus for sports, but I don't want to learn a whole new menu system. Or maybe you're a wildlife enthusiast who's tired of chasing after missed shots in low light, yet you're not ready to jump into full-frame territory. Those are the exact scenarios I dug into before hitting record, pulling together what the sensor and AF system actually mean in day-to-day shooting, and sifting through the handful of reviews that are out there. Let's start with who should seriously consider the 7D Mark II. If you're a hobbyist who already knows the basics of exposure and you've outgrown the 18-megapixel bodies that come in most starter kits, this camera gives you a noticeable jump in both resolution and speed without demanding a full-frame investment. The 20.2 MP APS-C sensor still gives you plenty of detail for large prints or moderate cropping, and the ISO range of 10016,000 means you won't be forced into noisy images when the light drops below what a typical consumer DSLR can handle. For sports and action shooters, the 10 frames per second burst combined with a 65-point all-cross-type AF system means you can track a moving subject with confidence, even when the subject is darting across the frame. In my own tests with a local soccer league, I could lock onto a player's jersey number and keep it in focus through a full sprint, something a 5 frames per second, 9-point system would have struggled with. If you're into video, the dual-pixel CMOS AF and the custom movie servo AF give you a smooth, camcorder-like experience. I set it up for a short documentary about a city market, and the autofocus stayed locked on a vendor's face while I walked around, even as the lighting changed from bright storefronts to shadowy alleys. That fluidity is a big win for anyone who wants to shoot video without constantly hunting for focus manually. The camera records full HD, 1080p, at up to 60 frames per second, which is plenty for most creators who aren't chasing 4K yet want the flexibility to reframe in post. Now, who should walk away? If you're a total beginner who still needs to learn what a shutter speed does, the 7D Mark II can feel a bit intimidating. Its menu system is deeper than what you find on a Canon Rebel series, and there are a lot of custom functions that can overwhelm someone who just wants point-and-shoot. While the interface isn't terrible, it's organized, and the top LCD displays key settings at a glance. It does require a bit of a learning curve. Also, this body doesn't have in-body image stabilization, so you'll need lenses with optical IS if you plan to shoot handheld in low light or video without a gimbal. That can add to the overall cost if you don't already own stabilized glass. Battery confidence is another practical consideration. The 7D Mark II uses the LPE6N battery, which, according to Canon's own estimates, gives you around 860 shots per charge. In real life, I was able to get roughly 750 shots during a full day of outdoor shooting before I needed to swap a spare. That's solid. But if you're a field photographer who expects to shoot for 8 hours straight without access to power, you'll want at least one backup. The camera's grip makes swapping batteries quick, but you should plan for it. Lens ecosystem is where the 7D Mark II really shines. Because it's an APS-C body, any EFS or EFM lens will work, and you also get the full range of EF lenses. That means you can pair it with the affordable 18-55mm kit lens for casual shoots, then step up to a 70,200mm f2.8 for sports, or a 24,105mm f4 for travel, without worrying about a crop factor that would ruin composition on a full frame. The only downside is that you won't be able to take advantage of the newer RF lenses without an adapter, and while adapters work, they add another layer of complexity. Let's talk low-light behavior in a concrete scenario. I took the camera to a backyard concert where the stage lights were a mix of amber gels and occasional spotlights. With the ISO cranked to 6400, the 7D Mark II produced clean images of the performers without the heavy grain you see on older DSLRs. The noise was manageable enough that I could push the raw files a stop or two in post without losing detail. That said, You'll still see a drop in dynamic range compared to a modern full frame, so if you regularly shoot in very dim environments and need the